Mm-hmm. So let's go right into minicamp then. Hey, we're starting to nail it down. We're starting to really kind of come out and see what we have, who's here. The media day was good. All that stuff was great. Will, there's a number of interesting things that we're taking a look at here. Another number of positions. I know we're going to talk about that quarterback in a little bit.
Right.
But what are you thinking, man? What are your thoughts?
Okay. So the first thing kind of sticking to on offense, one guy that they said has really stood out has been a guy that we were kind of written off. We've kind of said, this will be his last year and we drafted his replacement last year and we're going to move on from him. And that's Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how good of a minicamp he's had because guess what? We've got a coordinator who's using him for his strengths as a weapon. Exactly. We talked about this last year, like, with B-Rob, we could have two running back tandems and move him out, into the slot and let him, utilize his speed and then wide receiver skills. Well, Bieniemy's doing it finally.
Yeah.
Yep. Not only that, Bieniemy's using him in the screen game. He's big on the screen game. They said Gibson took one 80 yards, took one to the house. They had it perfectly blocked off, and he took it all the way. And they're like, it wasn't even one of those running backs just finishing the play and running all the way. He legitimately had a touchdown based on the play that they drew up. The other thing that was about incorporating Antonio Gibson is we are utilizing a lot of short, quick passes.
Yes.
For our quarterback. He's basically, and he's kind of taken some of that from Kansas City, where it's like Scott Turner was a little bit more Air Coryell, go downfield, and Bieniemy's bringing in the West Coast, which is timing based. It's quick. It's get the ball out. And that's only going to make, and get the ball into your playmakers' hands, like an Antonio Gibson, like a Jahan Dotson in space, like a Terry McLaurin. Give them a ball and let them go with it. That's also going to help out a really young quarterback who doesn't have the time to read a defense, but knows where he needs to go with the ball quickly and can do it.
Oh yeah, man. Wow. Yeah, it's exciting to see. And that's one of the things that I was very interested to see, because we all talked about, hey, Scott Turner's gone, and the implementation of EB's offense and how long was that going to take for us to adjust and get going. And I'm loving to see these reports where guys are flourishing and really kind of accepting that challenge. For me, man, I want to focus on one of the spots that we've had a lot of issues. You mentioned it earlier when talking about our rookies that we've got, and that's definitely helped to supplement that defense. But, man, that secondary has been looking good. You know what I mean? We know the wide receivers we have, and all I've been hearing is, hey, St. Juice was, toe-to-toe with, McLaurin. You know what I mean? What's it called? Quan Martin was in there getting Jahan Dotson. Like, these corners and secondary are playing up, and they are accepting the challenge, man. And that is something that we focused on. One of the things that we did actually address in the draft early, and that is, it looks like, obviously, Underwear Olympics, but it looks like these guys are buying into it. They're working out. You got Fuller out there, a healthy St. Juice, like I mentioned earlier. These guys, this back end, if we could have it where we're having a no-fly zone in that back end, that will totally eliminate any worry of that linebacker hole that we still have not addressed. You know what I mean? Because I have full confidence in if we keep a healthy D-line, I have full confidence in that D-line to sit there and create enough havoc. This secondary, we have the pieces now. Getting Emmanuel Forbes, getting Quan Martin, to have guys that are taking over games, not just stopping and deflecting and stuff. I mean, turnovers, interceptions, forced fumbles, recoveries. This is what we've needed. And this is what's going to take us from a bend but don't break defense to one of the more feared defenses in the NFC. You know what I mean? And so that I'm loving that we really narrowed in and focused on that. And they're showing up and shining. Now, look, we've been excited about our secondary for the last couple of years. Cameron Curl, you know what I mean? Benjamin St. Juice. But we've also had to sit here and mourn their injuries the last couple of years, and not how many games are we going to get, and are they going to get in here? So we're glad they're doing great, but we need to see them get to and through the season. So there we go. I'm loving it though, but that's some place where I was really paying attention to. Seeing that we did hit that in the draft and in the offseason, and that, like you mentioned, Cam Dantzler, we moved on from him. But it goes to kind of what we've been talking about with recently, with last year, them firing Sam Mills III and now doing this. We are kind of being more deliberate. This is what we're doing. We're making that move and moving. Franchise tag on the first day that we franchise tag Deron Payne and then paid him a week or so later. We're being more deliberate and we're changing the culture and the whole direction of this franchise. And I love that, but more importantly, I love what our defense is doing.
So let me ask you this, because I saw this in the comment section by Johnny Dean. Hearing that Quan Martin is playing very well. Have you gotten over not getting Cody Mock on your team, Sean?
I'm not reading that comment. I saw the mock thing. So no, I'm not gotten over it. No, okay? This man can play all 5 positions on the line, okay? He will take out at least 2 of those linemen in my 53-man mock that we'll do later this fall, okay? Yep. Cody was my guy.
Yes,
he was a hog.
You were emotional. Oh. So let me though segue very well to that. That ended up working out perfectly, because one of the things I heard and saw from Minicamp that surprised the living daylights out of me is hearing that Sadiq Charles is sort of entrenched right now as the starting left guard. He has Chris Paul. It's Sadiq Charles, and then space between. Then there's Chris Paul. So, what a great situation would it be for us to have that starting left guard already on the line, on the team here, someone that we can groove, a young guy, someone who's been with us for a couple of years. The guy who drafted him, Kyle Smith, who's now in Atlanta, was very high on him. We thought he was going to be our left tackle of the future, and he's been getting hurt. And he has finally said, his weight's been up and now it's a little bit down. It was lower last year. He's now at like 325. He said he feels he's at a good weight where he can do what he wants to do, to be athletic, but not get pushed around. But he's enjoying being at left guard. And he's at one position. He's focusing on it. He says he's healthy finally for the first time in a couple of years. And he's winning the position right now. And, just like a couple of years ago when we put in an unknown, a guy who was a bust as a first-round pick tackle named Eric Flowers at left guard, and we went, oh, my gosh, he's our starting guard. What are we doing? And he was phenomenal there. Right. What if they have something there, too, that they've kind of known for a while? It's just like, all right, now he can focus on, because, again, he's cheap, and the offensive line is going to be key for Sam's development and just for the overall offensive play. But that is really encouraging to hear that Charles has taken the bull by the horns and he ain't letting go.
All right, we need that. We absolutely need that. Yeah, that's definitely something good, because I was wondering where we're going to get that, because we talked about that after the draft, that potentially being a hold at guard position. But hey, let's go. But look, one of the other places, we mentioned it before, and you guys know my stance on this. Sam Howell.
Wait, I got a couple things in Minicamp. I do. I'm sorry. Yeah, one of my favorite things from Minicamp. This is my absolute favorite. So it's not even about a position player doing well. We talked a little bit about Chase Young and Montez talking, but at one point the offenses started humming, and they got a couple big plays, and they got a touchdown. And our guy, Jonathan Allen, got competitive.
What?
He got pissed. He turns and he started yelling, y'all, we ain't rushing you. There's no pads out here. You're not getting our best out of here. Don't be getting happy over this, right? He got pissed off that the offense was scoring in minicamp, in practice in June.
Yes.
Like, that's just why I love that dude, because he's so competitive out there that even when that's happening, he also was like, no, this ain't right. This isn't real. This isn't real at all. I'm not going to let you guys get away with this. I love that from him.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think there was another one where one of the defensive guys, there was like, they scored or something, and he was like, yeah, it was a holding. Like, don't even start. We know, like, if they would have actually called it, it would have been a holding. So enjoy it while you have it. Our offense and our defense, I mean, I want them going back and forth. I want them challenging. I want our defense to be just so nasty that's if we're dealing with that at practice, we're not worried about who we're facing on Sunday. You know what I mean? Because our D is that hungry. So I'm all for it, man.
Right. It's like those times when they're talking about the old teams from the U in the early 2000s and Southern Cal and probably what he's used to at Alabama, knowing that, hey, that guy behind me is going to be the next starter here. And so they just went at, like they said at Alabama, practices were more difficult than games because they had studs behind them. It's like that. If you can get something like that, I mean, that's the greatest situation out there.
I mean, but look, think about first team practice in 91. In the 91 year. Think about the Hogs going up against the Charles Manns,
Wilbur Marshalls.
You know what I mean? Come on now. Daryl Green going against Art Monk or Gary Clark. You know what I mean? Like that is what I mean. Like iron sharpening iron. Your best versus my best. And you might get one over on me and I'm going to get one over on you, but we're going to keep pushing it. And that's where I think, look, the one thing that I think is so underrated about and overlooked about our team is that we have a wealth of talent. Yeah, we might not have the solidified quarterback. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out the pieces on the O-line, but we have one of the top tier wide receiver cores. Mm-hmm. We have solid running backs. Our D-line, when healthy, has the potential to be one of the top D-lines top 5, top 10 in the league, in my opinion. But we have the talent. We just need that direction to put it together. And I think this is where we see it. And we're seeing through the coaching that it's looking good. It's looking good.